My father's first words on entering Westminster Abbey yesterday were a pledge of service. It was a pledge to continue to serve.
Prince William, the future king, broke down in tears as King Charles finally bestowed upon him the long-awaited and highly coveted royal title. The touching moment was filled with emotion, revealing a deep bond between father and son. But why did this moment mean so much to William? It symbolized more than just a title. It represented recognition, trust, and a shared legacy. While cameras captured his smile, they missed the sadness in his eyes. Many see Prince William as the ideal future king, poised, confident, and always in control. Yet beneath that polished exterior lies a man who has endured more than his fair share of grief and ongoing challenges. His path has not been easy. Though he remains calm on the outside, his heart carries unseen wounds. Media scrutiny has followed him relentlessly, dissecting his every move and often misrepresenting his intentions. While his public life may appear glamorous and regal, few understand the emotional cost of always having to meet expectations, the pain of growing apart from loved ones, and the consequences of staying silent. Raised in a society that discouraged emotional expression, William learned early to suppress his feelings and focus on duty. Over time, this emotional suppression took its toll, especially when he and his brother Harry grew apart, leaving a deep, personal wound. Once close and filled with laughter, their bond slowly faded into distance and silence. While the world followed their rift through headlines and interviews, William quietly carried the pain. He didn't go on talk shows or write revealing books. He stayed committed to his responsibilities and grieved in silence. Amid the emotional storms, William found peace and strength in his own family. Catherine has remained a pillar of support, and his children give his life deeper purpose. They are his joy and his anchor in a world that often feels performative and heavy. Though the public sees a smiling family at public events, they do not witness the difficult conversations and sleepless nights behind closed doors. William constantly thinks about raising his children differently, free from the emotional burdens he has faced. His goal is to provide them with love, freedom, and a future unchained from the sadness of the past. He is not just nurturing a family, he is shaping a brighter, more hopeful future. As a father and husband, William has continued to grow, learning, observing, and preparing for the responsibilities ahead. He doesn't simply want to follow in his father's footsteps. He seeks to forge a path of his own. He understands that for the monarchy to endure, it must evolve. Outdated customs and rituals cannot sustain it. True change must come from within, and William embraces this truth. While the world may be fixated on royal drama and controversy, William remains focused and grounded. He is quietly shaping a reign based not on spectacle, but on truth, resilience, and inner strength. With his new title, he is stepping into leadership, not with fanfare, but with quiet confidence, determined to lead in a way that honors both tradition and transformation. A new era. At Westminster Abbey, in its peaceful and majestic halls, a quiet but powerful change took place. It wasn't dramatic or extravagant, it was subtle, yet deeply meaningful. Prince William was no longer simply waiting in the wings, he was beginning to transform. To the casual observer, it may have seemed like just another royal event, but for those who understand the inner workings of the monarchy, it signaled something far greater, the dawn of a new era. It was more than just receiving a title, it was the start of a future beginning to unfold. King Charles may still wear the crown, but on that day, the public saw something different in William. They saw not just a prince waiting to become king, but a man already displaying the qualities of a true leader. William's relaxed yet confident demeanor spoke volumes. He wasn't preparing anymore, he was beginning his leadership journey. It was a rare moment of unity for a royal family long shadowed by sorrow and division. By standing together, William and his father displayed the strength and continuity of the monarchy, despite ongoing challenges. Though issues and rumors may still linger, that day offered a glimpse of resilience and a monarchy moving forward. Inside the palace, discussions about modernizing the institution are already in progress. William is not driven by fame or fortune, nor is he interested in blindly following tradition. His focus is on creating something authentic and enduring, on serving the people who look to the monarchy for hope and stability in an ever-changing world. He understands that leadership isn't about control or spotlight, it's about responsibility, honor, and trust. "I take my responsibilities very seriously," William has said, recognizing that duty can sometimes become a heavy burden. Rather than seeking attention, he demonstrates commitment through quiet consistency. His leadership style won't be a replica of his father's or grandmother's. Instead, it will be a blend of compassion and strength, a balance of modern insight and traditional values. William's role as a devoted husband and father brings emotional stability to a family long affected by internal fractures. With Catherine by his side and growing public support, his future is being shaped not by past shadows, but by the decisions he makes each day. This moment in time will be remembered not just for a title being granted, but for the emergence of a leader who chose grace, empathy, and patience over pomp and pride. The eventual transfer of the crown will mean more than a shift in status. It will represent the passing on of a spirit of resilience. William's journey is not defined by grand declarations, but by his ability to lead quietly, listen intently, and remain true to himself while shaping the monarchy's future with calm purpose, tension, and truth. But just as William stepped into this defining moment, the royal family was shaken by another development. Days before this significant royal ceremony, Prince Harry stunned Buckingham Palace with a heartfelt and unexpected interview on the BBC. Speaking openly and emotionally, Harry broke through the polished exterior the royal family is known for. He didn't speak as a prince, but as a son in pain and a brother feeling lost. While many of his revelations were not entirely new, it was the first time he expressed them publicly, and so directly. Beneath the royal image, Harry spoke of deep hurt, distance, and emotional isolation. His words weren't angry, but they carried a powerful truth, a truth that resonated. In his deeply personal interview, he shared feelings of abandonment, not just by the institution, but by his own father and brother. He even suggested interference during legal proceedings had come from within the royal household itself. These were heavy accusations, laden with emotion and implication. The timing of the interview added another layer of tension. Whether intentional or not, Harry's emotional revelations came just as the royal family and the nation prepared to celebrate William's rise in royal duty. What was meant to be William's moment was suddenly overshadowed. Media attention shifted from the ceremonial celebration to the raw family dynamics revealed in Harry's words. The spotlight moved from tradition and titles to the emotional wounds within the House of Windsor. William, who had long prepared for this milestone, now found it complicated by his brother's very public expression of hurt, placing the monarchy in a new era not only of change, but also of reckoning. William's day overshadowed. Prince William found his special day unexpectedly overshadowed by drama as Prince Harry's emotional revelations captured public attention. Critics began to question whether the timing of Harry's interview was a calculated move, possibly designed to coincide with William's public appearance. Some viewed it as strategic, while others chalked it up to unfortunate timing. Regardless of the intention, the result was the same: attention had shifted away from William. What was meant to be a moment of celebration, highlighting his ceremonial role and growing leadership, became clouded by reports of family conflict and betrayal. Instead of focusing solely on a future king stepping into his responsibilities, the narrative turned to the emotional rift between two once close brothers, now separated not just by roles but by deep emotional distance. While William maintained a dignified and regal presence within Westminster Abbey, Harry's interview painted a less polished, more painful image of the royal family from the outside. Buckingham Palace chose not to respond publicly. No statements were released, no explanations offered. Yet behind closed doors, emotions ran high. Palace staff scrambled to manage the fallout, all while trying to shield William from the emotional impact. The ceremony he had prepared for over many years now risked being overshadowed, as Harry's candid words reopened old wounds that William had long tried to suppress. William's silence. This moment wasn't just about a public appearance, it was about family, love, pain, and broken bonds. Harry's sincere and emotional words stirred unresolved feelings within William, placing him in an impossible position. Bound by royal protocol, he couldn't speak out or defend himself, even as public speculation swirled. He had to move forward, silently bearing the weight of personal grief and public pressure. Around the world, people began taking sides, some applauding Harry for his honesty and courage in rejecting outdated traditions, while others felt his timing and tone betrayed his brother and harmed the monarchy at a critical moment. The public debate spilled into dinner conversations and dominated social media. Yet, through it all, William remained silent, projecting composure while privately navigating deep emotional turmoil. Catherine's silent support. Amid the tension, Princess Catherine offered her support in a quiet but powerful way. As William faced the public with composure, she stood beside him with unwavering strength. In the royal world, where every word and gesture is analyzed, silence can speak louder than speeches. Catherine's poise and calm presence sent a clear message of solidarity. At Westminster Abbey, she remained composed while tradition unfolded, embodying grace and resilience without the need for grand statements. Her quiet presence became a symbol of stability and support in a moment of heightened scrutiny, showing that strength doesn't always need to be loud. The royal ceremony still happened. Harry's interview, though deeply emotional, brought to light the complex dynamics within the royal family, emotions long suspected by the public but now confirmed in his own words. It also exposed wounds that were still healing. Yet, despite the disruption, the royal ceremony went on. William fulfilled his role, and Catherine stood firmly beside him. Meanwhile, Harry, though distant in both location and sentiment, spoke his truth. The interview's impact will not be remembered solely for its content, but for the precise moment it arrived, turning what could have been a celebratory occasion into a broader reflection on family, duty, and identity. In stories like these, timing is everything, and here, it played a crucial role. A bond once strong. Once upon a time, Prince William and Prince Harry were inseparable. Growing up side by side in the palace, their bond was obvious to the public. They supported each other, laughed together, and appeared united through the challenges of royal life. But over the years, that strong friendship became strained. What was once a close, brotherly connection now feels like a painful distance. And while the world watches the drama unfold, the pain of that lost connection lingers, quietly shaping the lives of two brothers who were once each other's greatest allies. Growing older, the world watched with heavy hearts as young Prince William and Prince Harry walked behind their mother's coffin following her tragic death. William was only 15, and Harry just 12. That heart-wrenching moment brought many to tears and marked the beginning of a lifetime of shared sorrow and responsibility. In the years that followed, the brothers relied on each other deeply, not just as siblings, but as best friends, navigating a life filled with immense pressure. However, growing up within the royal family came with unique challenges. As they matured, their paths began to diverge. William, always aware of his destiny as a future king, grew into his role with caution and commitment. He faced strict expectations, countless duties, and a constant sense of obligation. Harry, on the other hand, held the role of the spare. With fewer restrictions, he had more freedom but also more uncertainty about his place and purpose. William and Catherine, Harry and Meghan. As William focused on royal responsibilities and began preparing to become Prince of Wales, he found stability in Catherine, whom many saw as a perfect future queen. Together, they built a strong public image and a close-knit family, with a clear path laid out ahead. Meanwhile, Harry began to feel increasingly alienated. Struggling to fit into the rigid framework of royal life, he longed for something different. That change came when he met Meghan Markle, an American actress who brought new energy and happiness into his life. Their love story moved quickly, and they soon married. But while their union offered joy, it also brought tension. The media became critical, especially toward Meghan, and Harry felt the royal family failed to protect her. This sense of abandonment deepened his feelings of isolation, especially from William. Harry and Meghan's departure. A turning point came when Harry and Meghan made the unprecedented decision to step back from royal duties. Their departure shocked the world. They first moved to Canada and then settled in California, seeking a quieter, more independent life. For some, their decision was brave and necessary. For others, it was seen as turning away from duty. Either way, the result was clear: more distance between Harry and William. William struggled to understand Harry's decision, while Harry believed he was doing what was best for his family. Without mutual understanding, their bond weakened further. Public appearances together became rare, and when they did occur, body language spoke volumes. The warmth they once shared was gone, replaced by tension and formality. Even after the deaths of their grandfather, Prince Philip, and later their grandmother, Queen Elizabeth, their relationship did not visibly improve. They stood together at solemn royal events, but the affection that once lit up their interactions had vanished. For two brothers who once shared childhood games, secrets, and the burden of grief, the emotional gap had grown wide. What once brought them comfort now brought them sorrow. Still, as time has the power to both wound and heal, there remains hope. Though they are now on separate paths, William toward kingship, Harry forging his own way, the deep roots of shared love and memories endure. Perhaps one day, those roots will bloom again with a warm smile or quiet reunion. A royal bond renewed. Amid this backdrop of family strain, Prince William received a significant royal title, one rich in meaning. It wasn't just another ceremonial event. It symbolized a shift within the royal household. The announcement was understated but deeply significant, coming at a time when the monarchy was once again in the spotlight, not for celebration, but controversy. Just before the announcement, Harry had delivered an emotional interview, openly discussing the fractures within the family, his growing distance from his father and brother. His words reopened old wounds and highlighted lingering pain and miscommunication. As the world fixated on Harry's statements, William made a very different choice. He remained silent. He did not offer a public rebuttal, nor did he allow himself to be drawn into further family drama. Instead, he stayed calm, composed, and committed to his role. In doing so, he showed a different kind of leadership, one grounded not in spectacle or reaction, but in quiet strength and enduring purpose. While their relationship remains uncertain, the hope of reconciliation lingers. For a family shaped by duty, tradition, and heartbreak, the journey ahead may still hold a chapter of healing. A symbolic title transfer. Amid ongoing tensions within the royal family, a significant but quiet development took place inside the palace. King Charles made a meaningful decision to bestow upon Prince William a role he once held himself. William was granted the Scottish titles, and more notably, he was appointed the new Great Master of the Most Honourable Order of the Bath. This was far more than a ceremonial gesture. It was a decision rich with emotional weight, historical relevance, and symbolic meaning. Some viewed the move as an attempt to unite the family or protect the monarchy's image during a period of intense public scrutiny. Others saw it as a father recognizing his son's growth and his potential to lead. The timing was purposeful, coinciding with the 300th anniversary of the order, adding even more gravity to the moment. While the world was focused on the turmoil stirred by Prince Harry's recent emotional interview, William stood silently but powerfully beside his father. Those who observed closely recognized that this was not just another royal tradition, it was a quiet but powerful statement of continuity. The event marked the culmination of years of internal family difficulty, media pressure, and personal sacrifice. William, once the reserved younger royal waiting in the background, was now stepping confidently into the spotlight, not because of his bloodline alone, but because he had earned the respect and trust required of a future king. His presence and demeanor reflected resilience, maturity, and the strength to carry the legacy forward. A quiet but powerful statement of continuity. The setting at Westminster Abbey, a place steeped in royal history, elevated the emotional impact. This was not a coronation or a state funeral, but something more personal and profound, a symbolic moment between a father and son, both adorned in the satin robes of the Order of the Bath. Though royal protocol required that they not enter together, there was a careful choreography in their every move. A fresh sense of unity was visible as the two stood side by side, not just as monarch and heir, but as equal partners committed to the future of the monarchy. When they met near the west door of the abbey, King Charles gently placed a hand on William's shoulder, a small, seemingly simple gesture, but one that held tremendous significance in a world where every move is scrutinized. In that moment, with just a few quiet words exchanged, a sense of comfort, understanding, and possibly even healing passed between them. A ceremony with deep meaning. The ceremony continued into the Lady Chapel, a space filled with tradition and historic reverence. The atmosphere was charged with symbolism as banners of the order hung on the walls, and the royal couple was followed by nobles, officers, and new members of the order. When Prince William took his oath, he did so with gravity and respect. He wasn't merely honoring an ancient tradition, he was making a personal and public commitment to the future of the monarchy. His assistance in the installation of 5 new knights was recorded by cameras, but their lenses could not fully capture the depth of meaning in his actions. This was not just about titles or rituals, it was about William becoming the man he was always meant to be. In that sacred space, where kings have been crowned and history made, William proved that he was not just the king's son, he was a symbol of stability, reliability, and growth. He hadn't demanded the spotlight or rushed toward recognition, instead, he had earned it through patience, dedication, and quiet perseverance. Now, he stood as more than a prince, he was a steady hand in a world of uncertainty. The chapel became a silent witness to a father placing his trust in his son. It was visible in William's conduct, in the way he spoke his vows, and in the look he shared with King Charles, a moment not of spectacle, but of shared sentiment and restored connection. A family still healing. Despite the smiles and elegant pageantry, the undercurrent of past tensions still lingered, particularly the emotional strain left in the wake of Prince Harry's public remarks. Though the ceremony was beautiful and steeped in tradition, the public had not forgotten the family's past troubles, the loss, the divisions, and the controversies that have surrounded the House of Windsor. Yet within all this complexity, the ceremony offered something hopeful. It reminded the world that even within a family shaped by duty, protocol, and historical weight, there remains space for quiet transformation. This transformation didn't come with dramatic speeches or sweeping gestures. It was present in the smallest details, in gentle interactions, in silent gestures of trust, and in shared glances that conveyed understanding. As the royal family celebrated the 300th anniversary of the Order of the Bath, what truly stood out was not just the tradition being honored, but the humanity behind it. In Prince William's poise and King Charles's subtle support, the monarchy revealed its capacity for change, resilience, and the enduring strength of familial bonds, even amidst wounds still in the process of healing. A new phase in his life. The anniversary of the Order of the Bath was already a significant event in royal tradition, but with Prince William at its center, it became something far greater. It transformed into a poignant chapter in a larger story, a narrative of a father and son, of a royal family striving to repair fractured bonds, and of a monarchy preparing for the future with quiet resilience. As the ceremony at Westminster Abbey came to a close and attendees began to disperse, one thing was unmistakably clear: Prince William had taken on more than a ceremonial title. He had entered a new phase of his life, one marked by leadership, trust, and responsibility. This moment symbolized more than tradition, it reflected the royal family's attempt to learn from the past, adapt to present realities, and move forward with hope. Though far from perfect, the monarchy showed signs of growth and determination to evolve. A noticeable silence. Amid this atmosphere of change and reflection, another story was unfolding quietly: Catherine's approach to peace. At Kensington Palace, there exists an unspoken rule understood by all staff: Meghan Markle's name is not mentioned. It didn't begin with a dramatic incident but gradually developed from moments of tension, awkward glances, and subtle discomfort. Over time, a noticeable silence grew around the topic, not enforced by official command, but respected out of emotional sensitivity. This boundary wasn't born of bitterness or revenge. Rather, it came from emotional fatigue. Catherine, the Duchess of Cambridge, had endured years of public conflict, damaging headlines, personal accusations, and heartbreaking rifts within her family. Her silence wasn't for show, it was her way of preserving peace for herself, her children, and her home. A clear boundary. Years ago, Catherine had tried to be the bridge between William, Harry, and Meghan. She believed in their potential as a modern, united face of the royal family. There was a time when their dynamic radiated hope and warmth. But that dream slowly unraveled. Tension clouded their appearances, headlines grew harsher, and their personal lives turned into public spectacle. When Harry and Meghan stepped away from royal duties and began sharing their truth, it didn't just mark a physical departure, it left behind emotional damage and a loss of trust. The effects were deeply felt within the walls of Kensington Palace. For Catherine, it was more than just a shift in roles or public perception. It was a personal loss that scarred her emotionally. She has since set a firm boundary, not to erase the past, but to avoid reopening old wounds. Meghan's name is left unspoken in her private spaces, not out of hatred but as a form of self-preservation. Catherine's focus now is on maintaining peace and stability for her family. While William reportedly still feels the sting of his broken relationship with Harry and may quietly hope for reconciliation, Catherine is more resolute. She has emotionally moved on, especially when it comes to Meghan. It's not due to rivalry or resentment, but a protective instinct forged by lasting pain. Setting limits? Catherine's choice is not an act of hostility, it's about setting emotional boundaries. In the aftermath of emotional upheaval, she has chosen to prioritize her family's peace and her own well-being. These personal choices also have broader implications. As the royal family enters a new chapter, Catherine's quiet strength plays a significant role in shaping its direction. She is not merely standing by the future king's side, she is helping influence the tone and values of the monarchy's future. Her calm demeanor, quiet authority, and emotional maturity reflect a deeper transformation within the family. The silent rule. What once was just a personal disagreement has now become part of royal history. Yet from it emerges a valuable lesson. Catherine is not trying to rewrite the past, she simply refuses to let it dictate the future. Her silent rule is not just about avoiding pain, it's about asserting progress. It shows that moving forward doesn't require dramatic declarations or public apologies. Sometimes progress is found in small choices, in staying silent rather than engaging, in protecting peace over proving a point. During recent royal ceremonies, while the family maintained its signature grace and elegance, those who understood the backstory could sense a deeper shift. The event wasn't just about honoring tradition, it quietly asserted a new kind of authority. And through it all, Catherine exuded a calm strength that spoke volumes. Not through words, but through presence, restraint, and resolve. A subtle way of asserting authority. Catherine, the Princess of Wales, didn't need to voice her feelings. Her actions, boundaries, and silence spoke volumes. Where the royal family once relied on official statements and formal protocols to address conflict, Catherine has chosen a different path, one rooted in personal choices that ripple outward to influence the broader institution. Through deliberate decisions about what she includes in her personal space, what she chooses to engage with, and what she quietly avoids, Catherine is shaping the emotional atmosphere within the monarchy. Pain has become her teacher, and wisdom has taken root in its place. The close relationship once shared between the four younger royals has evolved, teaching Catherine the value of boundaries, the importance of self-respect, and the necessity of moving forward. Though she will never forget what was lost, she chooses to focus on what can still be protected. At Kensington Palace, where calm is carefully maintained, there is a quiet but deliberate absence surrounding a certain name, Meghan. This silence isn't meant to wound, but to heal. It's a subtle but powerful message. Sometimes, the most meaningful statements are those left unsaid. A crown of trust. As Prince William continues his journey, he steps into more than just ceremonial roles. He carries the weight of a legacy and a crown of trust. His name is not just a title, it is a symbol rooted in history and expectation. To understand the magnitude of what occurred at Westminster Abbey, we must look beyond the ornate robes and regal setting. This was not simply about William receiving a new title. It was about him becoming part of a centuries-old story, a story of courage, loyalty, and duty that dates back to the founding of the Most Honorable Order of the Bath in 1725 by King George I. Even that date was not the true beginning. The origins of the order trace back to medieval times, when becoming a knight required more than combat skills. It involved spiritual preparation, purification through ritual bathing, and solemn reflection. The bath symbolized cleansing, not just of the body, but of the soul, preparing knights to uphold virtue, duty, and sacrifice. Emerging from this sacred act, they weren't just warriors, they became guardians of honor. The Order of the Bath. The title, Order of the Bath, stems from this very ritual. Through time, the order maintained its exclusivity, awarded only to individuals who had made a real impact in military or public service. These weren't merely titles, they were acknowledgments of honor, courage, and unwavering dedication. For centuries, this elite order admitted only men, until tradition finally shifted in 1971, when Princess Alice, Duchess of Gloucester, was named the first woman to receive the Dame Grand Cross, a quiet but groundbreaking transformation. Though gradual, this change revealed that even the most traditional institutions can evolve. Now, Prince William joins this distinguished lineage as the new Great Master of the Order of the Bath. With this role, he does more than wear robes or stand at ceremonies. He accepts responsibility for preserving and promoting one of the monarchy's most revered traditions. This is no superficial title, it is a trust passed on through generations. This is a significant responsibility. Becoming Great Master places Prince William in the company of Britain's most influential historical figures, leaders whose decisions shaped the empire. His position means that each of his actions will carry the weight of legacy. William is no longer simply waiting for the crown, he is actively stepping into leadership. This appointment is not for show, not a deflection from recent tensions, nor a gesture for good optics. It was a sincere and deliberate act by King Charles, one filled with meaning. It wasn't about duty alone, it was about a father entrusting his son with something deeply personal. In royal families, emotions are rarely shown through words. Instead, love and faith are conveyed through gestures. When King Charles passed on this title, he was doing more than naming an heir, he was expressing confidence and making peace with the future. Emotions are not always openly expressed. Years ago, Charles stood where William does now, Prince of Wales, holding the same title, carrying the same burdens, and looking into an uncertain future. Back then, Queen Elizabeth II cast a long shadow. Now, it is King Charles's turn to step back and empower the next generation. His words, "I'm proud to create him Prince of Wales," reflect more than tradition, they carry the emotional weight of history, parenthood, and legacy. This transfer wasn't just ceremonial. It was an emotional and symbolic act of trust. In naming William the next Great Master of the Order of the Bath, Charles wasn't just preserving an institution, he was beginning to let go, to entrust the future to someone who had proven worthy through patience, humility, and strength. This quiet, powerful exchange, free of fanfare or drama, symbolized everything the monarchy aspires to be in its modern chapter, grounded in history, open to growth, and sustained by the strength of character. The exchange between father and son. The exchange between King Charles and Prince William in that moment was both genuine and deeply significant. For much of their lives, their relationship had been formal and rooted more in duty than in emotional closeness. However, after the passing of Queen Elizabeth, a subtle shift began to emerge. The royal family was enveloped in grief and transition, but within that sorrow came the opportunity for change. Charles and William began having more meaningful conversations, no longer confined to schedules or royal obligations, but diving into deeper discussions about the future, leadership, and the burden of kingship. A new era begins. These honest, open dialogues allowed Charles to see his son not just as an heir, but as a future leader in his own right. In appointing William to a major royal title, Charles was silently expressing a profound message, that he had faith in his son to guide the monarchy into a new era, one marked by compassion, resilience, and quiet strength. Without speaking the words directly, Charles conveyed everything through this symbolic gesture. It wasn't merely the transfer of a role, It was the beginning of a transition. Though still king, Charles is beginning to step back slowly, giving William room to grow into his future responsibilities. It's a gradual and thoughtful process, built on trust and time, handled with great care and emotional significance. It was about his strong beliefs. For Charles, this moment meant more than fulfilling royal duty. It was an expression of deep personal conviction. Known for his reserved emotional expression, this act revealed what words couldn't. William, once a quiet child in the shadow of his mother's legacy, now stands as a composed, capable man ready to shape the monarchy's future. Through this gesture, Charles gave him more than a ceremonial honor. He gave him his full trust and belief. In their quiet exchange, there was a mutual understanding. Though the emotional distance between them may not have completely disappeared, they now share a deeper bond forged through shared experiences and years of growth. This was not just a passing moment, it was a reflection of their journey, a sign of a maturing relationship, and a symbol of the monarchy's next chapter. William moves forward not just dressed in royal regalia, but with a newfound sense of purpose and quiet assurance. The road ahead will undoubtedly be difficult, filled with scrutiny, decisions, and pressure. But William now carries more than symbols. He holds the legacy, the trust of a nation, and the future of the monarchy in his hands. What do you think about this turning point in Prince William's life? Will he lead the monarchy with grace and modern sensibility? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.